Now, I think we can all agree that Bob Iger is by far one of the worst CEOs of all time in history, and definitely the worst CEO over at Disney specifically. And given that we know that, yes, Chapek did have a hand in some of the terrible decisions that were actually made by, of course, himself and the board, and how that created a ripple effect for not just the Disney movies, the shows, and the parks, but also the merchandise, etc. But Bob Iger really made it all the more worse throughout 2023. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. And let's get right into the subject, shall we? Now, the thing about Hollywood right now that's creating a very big standstill is the whole thing happening with WGA, right? The writer's strike happening in Hollywood, everything happening with SAG. I mean, pretty much every single movie and or TV show that has not been fully written yet has been put completely on hold. Even movies that are in production, that are currently filming, have been put on hold. Hence Deadpool 3, by the way. You know, Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds are not working as we speak for that movie in particular because of everything happening with SAG. Now, Bob Iger, alright, and no surprise, has been getting caught up in the drama with all the Hollywood strikes happening, and She-Hulk actress Tatiana even called him out a couple of days ago. But Bob Iger recently only made matters worse, and his ego is beginning to show. He has a lot of problems with the ongoing strikes, and really kind of downplays the whole situation. Let's get into this. Now, we know one thing about Iger. As I like to call him, Bob Iger. He always lies to the general public, always makes things really seem like they're a lot better than they really are. And let's get into the overall subject. Now, with Bob Iger currently dealing with many issues at Disney, he recently responded to the ongoing writer's strike happening in Hollywood, where he delivered the following after getting slammed by She-Hulk actress Tatiana. Look, listen, I would be lying if I have not recognized many major talents getting upset with the ongoing strikes holding no end in sight. But everything is getting out of control now. Actors and actresses are paid fairly, both when gaining residuals and how the current streaming platforms work are both effective. We here at Disney and how Disney Plus operates gives us the knowledge that we needed. That's all fair play to everyone. The strikes are only causing more issues, and it needs to stop soon because it's not only hurting our talents, it's also concerning companies like us here at Disney and our operations, whether it be for shows or films. It can get quite frustrating, and everything is getting a bit blown out of proportion now. I think that it's unfair for all these talented actors to treat the studios and the unions like they are their enemies. Everyone is paid fairly, whether you're at a specific tier or a specific status, as far as I'm concerned, and the longer this keeps up, it's only going to create an even bigger problem that many studios may not be able to recover from. Now guys, let me just pause here for 1 second before I get to the next thing that Bob Iger just dumps everything all over. Now, the thing about this is that I think he's beginning to forget it's not just about the actors and the actresses, but it's a union, right? You have a lot of people like at different stages of careers. You have people that are at the very bottom, right? People that really have to work paycheck to paycheck that honestly, if you know the business, really do deserve to have better pay. And the fact that you have these unions that are refusing to settle with that or refusing to do a pay increase or whatever it may be just goes to show you that Bob Iger is really focusing away from that, and he's only focusing on seemingly the actors, the actresses, and the main people, right? The ones that are paid like tens of millions of dollars, right? So that's the problem that I think Bob Iger is falling into right now, and it's only going to create more problems. As much as I do not like She-Hulk actress Tatiana and her role and beliefs, she really did call out Bob Iger, and she really put him on the hot spot, to the point where it really shed a lot of light on him. It showed him his true colors and what he really is all about with the upcoming strikes that are just ongoing and really still, sadly, have no end in sight, like he mentioned. You know, as much as I want to see a lot of movies out there like Deadpool 3, or even, of course, giving the Batman Part 2 a shot, all of those projects are on hold right now. So, moving onwards, He goes on to elaborate further. Regardless of the situation, I am still holding no concern with our efforts here at Disney. We have a great roster of films and shows that are finished and are ready for release both in theaters and in streaming, so we should be pretty protected for the remainder of 23 leading us into next year. Everything happening between WGA and SAG is only an inconvenience for us, and it needs an end somewhere in sight very soon, or else there will be negative consequences financially for many down the road. Of course, there will be many talents trying to cast blame on me, and I find that disrespectful, quite honestly. I bet it's best bet to actually keep those inflammatory opinions to oneself. Now, again, this is coming from a guy that says we don't get engaged in any culture wars, we're not all about culture wars or anything like that. We don't have any kind of ulterior motive with agendas or sending specific messages to our general customers. That's Bob Iger. That's Bob Iger. Alright? Now, we know that he's not making the situation any better. And the recent reports, we've talked about this just yesterday, is that the writer's strike and everything happening with SAG, as crazy as it may seem, it may very well last to the end of this year, maybe even beyond that. And that's going to create a large series of delays, to the point where you might not even see Deadpool 3 until 2025 now, by the way, guys. It's very, very possible. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2 may very well get a major delay from the summer until the fall. That's also highly likely at this stage. So it is creating a very big domino effect, and it is creating a very big impact even for people at the very bottom working for the film industry. You know, I mean, it's very much apparent at this point that Bob Iger is not paying attention to the people at the very bottom, working day in and day out, working very, very hard, 16 hours a day, you know, working on these projects and living paycheck to paycheck. So, I'm not saying that I side with people like Rachel Zegler, who said something so obnoxious the other day, where she's like, oh yeah, for someone that sits in a chair for 18 hours, or sits in a princess outfit for 18 hours, I deserve to be paid every single hour that somebody watches Snow White once it hits streaming. That's ridiculous. You know, those are the types of actresses that I do not support at all, and the ones that I do support, however, are the ones that are thinking about the people at the very bottom, right? The people that aren't really paid all that fairly, that needs to change. So, overall, guys, I would really, like to hear everyone's opinion on Bob Iger, the current state of WGA and SAG, and you know what? Let's kind of create a little conversation here below. Like, do you guys see any resolution with these strikes by this year? Do you think it's going to bleed into 2024? If you guys want my 2 cents on this, I heavily do believe it's going to last until at least Thanksgiving. As crazy as it may seem, I think it is going to last that long. So anyway, guys, drop a comment below. Fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. And I will catch you guys next time.
From night to moon we hear them moans again.